Hi, Rory Singh here from the powerhousemarketer.com. Today I'm going to do an update for HyperFund fraud warning with the UK, from UK FCA, warning people about a fraudulent investment opportunity. That's what we're going to talk about here today. Before we get into that, if this is your first time on this channel, find the big red button, subscribe, and even click on the bell notification icon. That way you won't miss out on any updates. Okay. All kinds of news happening here in the MLM underbelly world. People who would never, ever touch MLM seem to be heavily involved in some of these schemes. And I'm finding that the great majority of people do, human beings. I've heard the other day, little joke here. Well, maybe it's not a joke. I heard the other day a guy tell me, he's like, hey man, human beings are just as, crazy as the animal kingdom. And that a human is basically just another form of animal with a little bit more brain cells and more brain capabilities than the other animals that are populating planet Earth. So humans are just another form of earthling. A cow is an earthling. Even fish in the sea are earthlings. Sharks are earthlings. Monkeys are earthlings, right? Chickens are earthlings. All these animals are earthlings. And a human is a two-legged animal running around. And with humans love to justify why they do whatever they're doing. If someone's doing something, whether it be good or bad, I've stopped putting labels on things because there's no good or bad. It's just, how you're feeling about whatever you're doing. But what I'm seeing is I'm thinking a lot of people have remorse with these type of deals, but they've gotten, fed up with the system. And they're now trying to justify ways to promote scams. Because with a lot of these passive MLM systems, the great majority have to lose just so a few people at the top can gain. And the marketers with the most skill sets of recruitment and traffic, etc., are the people who usually make most of the money before a scheme would collapse, other than the system owners. Okay. But nowadays what I'm seeing are people justifying why it's okay to scam strangers online. I seen some heavy hitters commenting openly on Facebook last year. I believe it was before Christmas. And they were saying, one guy was telling the other guy, they're having an open conversation on one of their timelines. And one heavy hitter dude was saying, it's not good to scam family and friends, but, random strangers online, who cares? And the other one's like giving them hearts and thumbs up, and that's right. Who cares if, but it does matter, right? And it's not about wrong or right. It's about energy for energy. Success is an energy. And even looking at the corporations do a lot of dirty stuff, right? However, they, at the end of the day, I'll give you an example. Some of the biggest corporations, they are able to give more numbers of value to more families because they have deep pockets. Yes, they do some, conniving stuff on the side, right? We all know this. But the amount of numbers of sentient beings, meaning you watching this video, even a fish swimming in the ocean, even a chicken on a farm, even a pig on a farm, even a cow on a farm, we can all perceive, all different forms of animals, we can all perceive life. We can all perceive our different stories of how we think what is happening here on Earth, right? So we have perception. We also can feel compassion. We can give compassion. We can receive compassion. We can also perceive hatred. We can, give hatred. We can feel hatred. That's what sentient beings are. Okay. But corporations know this stuff, and that's why 1% of the population controls the great majority, the 99% of the population on this planet, because they know certain things that the great majority of people don't know. And most of us are just, bickering and arguing and fighting with each other. So, divided we shall fall, together we shall stand, right? But because we all have so many different issues, that it's very hard to stand strong, okay? But success, laws, universal principles, even some of the best marketers have become successful in the past by being able to leverage the internet to give a ton of people value, okay? But still, the people who don't understand these universal principles, success will always elude them, okay? So people are justifying these scams, saying the government's dirty, the system's dirty, the hell with everyone else is just out for themselves. So it's okay to rip people off, but unconsciously, at your unconscious depths, the real you doesn't agree with this stuff, because the real you is connected to everyone else's real you, the real them, their inner beings, if you want to speak of it or look at it that way. So these are some things to think about. You can't really justify. You can try and justify stuff consciously, but it's at the unconscious level is where, we really need to focus on. And we cannot help ourselves by ripping people off. That's a very important rule. Corporations kind of make their loopholes by giving value to millions and millions of family, and they get wealthy, right? That is a rule. That is something that should always be looked at and considered. Okay, so let's get into HyperFund. HyperFund, the main guy behind it, Ryan. Okay, this gentleman here. Okay, so he's basically the face of HyperFund. They've got so many domains. They've got like HyperFund, the HyperFund. They had HyperCash, HyperFund Global. So many different names. Okay, but anyways, HyperFund has been issued an investor's fraud warning by the FCA. That's the government regulator for securities. A security is an investment opportunity, okay? In a nutshell, if you are promised an ROI in some way, shape, or form, the company owners, the company must register with every regulator anywhere someone decides to invest from. Okay, so apparently they have been receiving a lot of complaints from people in the UK. Okay, and they had to go out and address this. So this is what they're saying. This is the FCA UK. You guys can go and look this up for yourself and do your due diligence and research. HyperFund. We believe this firm has been providing financial services or products in the UK without our authorization. Find out why to be especially wary of dealing with this unauthorized firm and how to protect yourself from scammers. Okay. Before I get into the rest, a thought just came to me, and some of the network marketers promoting HyperFund are going to say, the regulators are dirty. Well, let me tell you a little quick story about FCA and the SEC and the like. In truth, they don't really care about you guys. The 1% of the population, the super wealthy, is comprised of all kinds of different races, but they call them, they think they're the elite. They have, some of them are brown, some of them are white, some of them are black, some of them are Oriental, some of them are First Nations, right? They're a mix of different races, but they themselves know that there's no different race at all. We have different shapes and colors and different cultures, but is super wealthy. They know in truth that a human being is a human being, and it's just really one race, which is the human race. But, being who they are, they like to control 99% of the people by telling you stuff like you're different. That's why you got so much bickering happening on this planet. Okay. And they like stuff like HyperFund. On the back end, they're like, oh, we're consumer watchdogs and we care about you. But on the back end, they're like, okay, they're going through pandemic. They're all panicking. They're all fighting amongst themselves. They're hoarding toilet paper. Who knows what else they're going to do? Now they're openly investing into Ponzi schemes and getting ripped off. Why would the government like this? Because look at this here. I reviewed, look, Petron Pay, that's another one getting fraud warning. People are believing that it's an oil company that has network marketing linked to it. Come on, guys. Anyways, they had Barax and Weisling. Look, Susan Pope, the pretty Susan Pope. And this fellow here, some character sent him, it was just an anonymous, well, he's an actor, right? They sent the company $580,000 worth of Bitcoin. One guy went together and got a group of other investors, and together they pooled $580,000, converted into Bitcoin, and then sent it to Weisling just before they scammed out. With Barax, there was a guy that came, he told me, hey, Rory, I lost $100,000. And then he's out looking for another deal. Doesn't make any sense to me. Okay. But they had one regulator called ASIC, I believe it is. I always confuse it with ACIS, but it's Australian regulator, ASIC. And they issued a fraud warning on Barax after they scammed out. Isn't that funny? So when they got opportunities and they've got the public and they've got you guys investing, network marketers come and tell you, hey, you can just, make money, passive income without having to do anything. All you got to do is join. And then the majority of people that are investing would, they hate MLM. They hate network marketers. It's kind of crazy. They hate network marketers. They hate network marketing. It's a Ponzi scheme. If you went and tried to sell them your lotions, potions, and pills in the past, the people who are investing here, back in the day, they would be like, if you cold call, I used to do cold calling when I was new, and people would be slamming the phone down. The same people who were slamming the phone down are the people are opening their arms and hugging you and investing with these type of deals. It's very crazy. But what does this got to do with HyperFund? Well, it has everything to do with HyperFund, because FCA is like laughing. It's like, hey, we don't have to do anything because they're investing all of their money, and it's not even all of their money. The people who are investing here, they are borrowing money from credit cards. So most people are not even most people are living paycheck to paycheck. Welcome to the world, right? That's why I became an online entrepreneur and I learned marketing skills instead of having money down the drain, right? Money down the drain. But there's a point here, guys. They figure people are going to get even weaker because they're donating money that they haven't even earned yet from their credit cards, and then they have to go back and pay that back. And what happens? That means you're going to be more dependent on Big Brother, on the government to feed you, to take care of you, to clothe you, to control you, to program you. So they love Ponzi schemes. They're going to issue a fraud warning saying, yeah, it's unauthorized. And it is unauthorized, and it should be a red flag, right? But at the end of the day, they don't care because it weakens the great public, the majority. Robert T. Kiyosaki, he wrote a book, right, years ago, and he predicted all this stuff. And he said the middle class is disappearing very quick, and all you're going to have is super wealthy and poor. No middle ground anymore. And families who were middle class, they're still living a middle class lifestyle. But if you notice, a lot of them are working a lot more. People are instead of having to work 40 hours a week to keep the same lifestyle, are working 60 hours. And now they're donating money to anonymous people, hoping that they're going to get rich on the internet, and they're getting scammed over and over. I do reviews on this every single day, and they keep scamming out. Just a handful of people, right? So that's what you're dealing with here. Now, how does this affect Ponzi schemes, fraud warning, if the government really doesn't care about you guys? Well, once people start, seeing, like investors, they start seeing, oh my God, there's a fraud warning from the UK authority. Okay, this looks like too much risk. So what they do is they'll be like, this Ponzi looks too risky. I'm going to go out and find another Ponzi that doesn't really have that many fraud warnings or looks a little bit more legit. And they end up getting scammed over there instead. That's basically what's happening, isn't it? So what it does to the Ponzi scheme, since HyperFund doesn't show any proof of any actual revenue to pay the investors outside of network marketing recruitment, since they can't prove that they have any revenue to pay the investors, like trading revenue or whatever they claim, like everyone's claiming different things, then if they can't prove it, that means there's only network marketing recruitment revenue. Okay. And once the new investors see this, they get scared and they don't want to invest here. They'll go and find somewhere else to invest until they run into issues over there. And once network marketing recruitment dries up, then so-and-so, starts a new company in another name, and then we'll come back and say, come back here to you guys and say, well, we got DDoS attacked, or SEC shut us down, or we got hacked, and all of the investment money that you guys borrowed from your credit card is gone. Sorry, guys, but we got to close. And then they operate in another name and then get the same network marketers that were promoting this deal into the next one, and then they start the game all over again. And that's, in a nutshell, how it works. So when I did my review on HyperFund, I didn't recommend it, and these are the reasons why: because they're not set up for the long term. And in order to become successful online, it comes down to your credibility, right? And you can't really you can't really earn your credibility or pay your dues on something that's not set up for the long term. Lastly, before I go, most of the investors, you guys are hoping and asking for free money, free freedom, without having to do anything for it, right? And then most of you guys have careers, and you know darn well that it wasn't free. You had to go earn whatever it is that you're getting right now. So you can't just come online and just click a button and be, ignorant about it, because it is a form of ignorance to expect, wow, I want to get millions through the internet by just not doing anything. But to get, 40, 50, 60, 70, $80,000 a year, depending on how much you actually make right now, you went out and had to do a whole bunch of different things. So isn't that kind of crazy? But at the end of the day, let me close off with this little idea. On a conscious level, you might be saying to yourself with words, I want to get rich quick and easily. But unconsciously, if you've got something quick and easy, most likely you'll sabotage it, right? At the unconscious level, you want to feel like you earned it. And if you we see it all the time with lottery winners. They win the lottery, and a few years later, they're broke, or worse than they were before they won the lottery. At least before they won the lottery, they had a job. Maybe they were paying their rent or mortgage. But the great majority of people that win the lottery, they end up losing everything. Everything. And it's because they didn't earn the success. And lastly, I think I said lastly a few times, but really this time, lastly, if you don't earn something, right? If I've studied stories with billionaires who've lost all of their money, and they were able to make it back because they earned it and they knew how to do it. But if you don't know how to do it and you didn't earn it, then most likely if you got something great, which is kind of hard in this industry because everything keeps scamming out. But if by some miracle, right, you got something great happen handed to you, most likely you'll sabotage it because you didn't earn it.